afternoon, family. This is episode 5 of Just a Conversation. And today I have a dear friend of mine, sister, and mentor even in a way, Kim. And oh my goodness. Okay, so just a quick background, fam, on how did we meet? Because we're on two different sides of the US, pretty much. Never met in person.
No.
Whatever that means. But yeah. Our energies definitely have. Okay, so I came to Kim. I was in a time of crisis. Okay, I was going through my initial stages of my remembrance or awakening, where I was coming into higher dimensional energies, higher streams of consciousness. I started remembering. My soul started igniting and helping me to remember facets of myself that my soul has experienced. Right. So I came to Kim because I was like, okay, she has no affiliation with anybody that I know. She is tapped in. She's spiritual. And the things that I'm saying to her as I'm like interviewing her, to see if she's like a good fit for me, I'm not crazy. Okay, so I'm like, okay, okay, maybe I found another crazy person, but she says I'm not crazy. So
Not crazy.
I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere, But I gave her very little information. I gave her enough, and I didn't divulge much. And the things that she brought to me has helped bring me closure, helped bring me a deeper sense in knowing, and honestly, a place of where I can begin to start trusting myself deeper, right? And like that has led to where we're at now. And over the last 2 years, we've met a few times, and we were just discussing actually, fam, right before this call, that I'm going to have another reading next week, because it's like I need a recalibration, I need a tune-up, and just this call right here, us talking, intermingling our energy is just going to raise our vibration, but I want to say, fam, that I'm particularly excited about this episode. We did try to record this episode once before, and the spirit was like, not yet, so it didn't work for some reason. I was really bummed about it, but I'm very excited about this because this is essentially like the first real deep metaphysical podcast, where we're going to really talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about things metaphysical, things magical, alchemical, So that being said, sis, please tell us how you are. What has happened? What happened to you?
Well, I think a lot of your audience probably will relate on any one of these levels. I think a lot of times we have things happen and we don't know what that means. Why are we? Why do I feel different? Growing up, why did I feel different? Why didn't I not mesh with these people, but yet I had a deep connection with certain friends over there? Why do you feel like you're the black sheep of your family? Like, all these questions come up and you think you're crazy, and you're not. For me, I was blessed to be the baby of 5, and I was born a day before my father's birthday, and I ended up needing emergency surgery to save my life. And at that time, I'm from the Midwest, they didn't have air care, so I had died 11 times. By the time my father kept meeting up with the ambulance, they had pulled over, resuscitated me, I survived. And from that point, I had wild things happen throughout my life, but nothing that I could really put my, ooh, are you there? Lost you.
I swear, this energy with us.
It's the energy. I'm telling you, I blow out TV.
What is going on?
I blow out TV. Our energy is so high that it's hard to ground into electronics.
Like, I never have this not like to this extent,
It's my energy.
Yeah, you are, okay, we're back. Sorry, fam. High vibrational beings. Mostly
Oh my
Kimberly.
God. Okay. But I'd had that happen. And then through the course of my life, I had we were in Mexico with my family, and I had a near-death experience when I was 5. I had went under the undercurrent. My father had to save me. And I had all these things happen, and I wasn't quite sure what that meant. But I just knew it was different. And fast forward, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. My father was diagnosed 3 days after we lost my mother with the same kind of cancer. And I also had gotten married. Oh my gosh. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you not see
There
me?
you go. I can see you again.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Hold on, sis. Hold on. I got an idea.
Okay.
Let's just both you and I take a moment to just like center ourselves into the heart.
Yeah.
Let's ground this energy down into Mother. All right, I'm here. I'm present. Let's try, like, please, Spirit. All right, I'm really.
We're trying to do this, honey. We're trying to do it.
Okay.
So fast forward, I'd had 2 particular things that happened to me that really stuck out. One, I was 16, and I was at work, and I felt doom, like just gloom. Couldn't figure out what was going on. I called my father. At that point, my mother was in the hospital, and I asked him if everything was okay. Yeah, everything's fine. By the time I had gotten home, his favorite brother had died, and of a massive heart attack, was going in for surgery, had died at the age of 50. That was the first real experience that I was like, whoa. And I could feel it. Like that was something I could tangibly put my energy into and say, okay, that, like, I feel that. The second thing was I had a dream that my husband had passed away. And I had dreamed that he was in China and he had passed away. And he's like, no, I'm here. I'm right here. A week later, he goes to Mexico City, and he had a heart attack and died in Mexico City. And so those were the 2 profounding moments where I could, like, I was getting stuff from spirit, but I wasn't really putting it together.
Yeah.
And then I shut everything down, went and got a degree, went the, corporate route, all that. And then I had a spinal surgery that I ended up having a near-death experience in when I was in surgery. And
Yep.
that's what really kind of opened, like, that really blew me wide open. And after I was done with that, I couldn't get, it reminded me of you, Keegan. I couldn't get enough knowledge. It was like sacred geometry. I was seeing numbers. I was having a spiritual awakening. And again, you think you're crazy because all this stuff, you start getting downloads. You start being able to read things, and you realize you're not really reading. You're just retaining by, like, looking at the pages. You're retaining all this information. And you don't know when you're going to need it, but it always comes out of the time that you need it. And then I started working with spirit, and I was like, wow. My gift started opening, started having the ringing in the ears, started being able to, like, get up at 5 o'clock and meditate and could hear the earth. I could literally hear the earth humming. And I'm like, wow. And that took a while. And you've had the same experiences, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you think you're going through hallucinations. You think you're crazy. You're afraid to tell anybody because they're just going to commit you to a mental hospital. And then I started getting the visions, and I started seeing things, and then I started knowing things. And then it was just probably about 6 or 7 years ago that I really began to trust. And it was, whatever I see, hear, and feel, I will say it. And I don't, like, the one thing for me is I don't dictate this. This is my agreement with spirit. We're doing a reading next week. My agreement isn't with you. My agreement is with spirit. And I'm going to honor that, because who's ever supposed to be in front of me, they will get to me. Spirit will make that happen. I don't worry about it. I don't I just follow the cookie crumbs of the universe. Um, and that's
Wow.
how I work. And then, you know, the last time you asked me what was the most crazy experience I ever had, and I had two. One was our dear friend Hope
Oh,
reached out to me last year, and it was on a weekend, and she said her daughter was missing.
oh
And
my
I
goodness.
immediately, huh?
Yeah, I think I remember you saying this. This
Yeah.
is please share this. This is incredible. Okay, yeah.
And because when spirit works, at that point, I really hadn't did a lot of astral travel or a lot of projection work. Um, but spirit knows me, and I probably would have been like, no, I'm not sure about that. The minute I knew somebody was in need, I was able to get into her body and look through her eyes, and we found her. And I kept saying to Hope, we have 36 hours. After that, I'm not so sure what's going to happen. And so we were on a clock, and Hope was, you know, reaching out to detectives. Short end of the story is everything I told her, I was literally seeing landscapes and highways, and I didn't know what it means because she's in Myrtle Beach. So
Oh, wow.
Hope is sending me pictures of a map as I'm doing this in real time.
Yeah.
And like I saw her fall. I saw her right ankle. I saw her drop her phone. I saw her going to the package store getting a pack of cigarettes. I saw all the movements that she did and where she was at. And because of that, we were able to locate her just shy of the
Oh
36.
my.
We were 2 hours shy of the 36-hour mark. And she had got in a situation that wasn't necessarily the best.
Yeah.
Again, that's how spirit works. Is number
What
one
happened?
is to get
Yeah.
testimony for spirit, but also to actually help. And you have to leave your ego at the door. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just the conduit. I'm just the messenger. That's it. That's that's just how it is. I'm the messenger. I'm the conduit. It reminds me, spirit had showed me, I have two kitties, and I had a laser thing. I was playing with them, and I literally was seeing like the light going from like the laser, like to like and I'm like, oh my God, that's us. We're conduits.
Yeah.
We are the energy, and the light goes forward. That's how spirit was like acknowledging it for me. That was one of the wildest, crazy experiences because it's happening in real time and you don't have time to stop and think, am I right? Am I wrong? Because it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you. Like you're just like, okay. And then the second experience I had just bought a new car like 4 years ago, and it had just went in for an alignment, and that's key. Truly key. And I opened the trunk when I got it back. My trunk was completely clean, and there were these two keys.
Oh my goodness, you have them with you.
I
Yeah.
have them with me, two
Oh,
keys.
wow.
And
Oh,
again, I'd never seen them before. And you can see they're old. Like, look at
oh
that.
yeah. Those are
And
so
it's a
cool.
new
They
car.
make my heart warm looking at them.
They're like,
Yeah.
and they were in a new car.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I'm like, what are those? I've never seen them. So I brought them into my house, and I'm holding them. The next day I look over, and my Akashic Records book has the exact same two keys. And that's how spirit works. But we have to slow down enough to see the signs and see all the synchronicities that happen. A lot of times we're so busy going. Spirit's always talking to you. The universe is always talking. You follow the cookie crumbs. Spirit's going to give you something, and then your job is to take an action. Take one step toward the gods, they take 10 steps towards you. And that's part of manifestation. The two things with manifestation is know what you want, be decisive, put the energy, meaning the emotion behind it. Just as much as you get pissed off, and that like, you're manifesting when you're pissed off. That same manifestation can be used when you're happy and joyful and like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then you take one action. That's it. and the manifestation will take hold and fly, and be shocked at how quick you're able to ground your manifestations.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that.
Mhm.
It's all
So it's
about how
just
you
a
feel.
lot of, it's awesome how you can use sacred geometry, you can use colors, you can use music. Like, and I always say we're like a big wheel, right? Spirit's going to use whatever it is to make you have your spiritual awakening or for our soul to grow. Some people it's yoga, some people it's meditation, some people it is spiritual work, some people it's sound healing. However that is, it's like a spoke on the wheel. Spirit's going to work with whatever tool works best with you. We're all going to get there. It's just how are you going to get there?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely like that, like, because, okay, so I was raised strict Roman Catholic.
Hmm.
So I had like this, and then in fact, like, I had such a gnarly complex built around that, around organized religion and just all that. And because I went to private school for a long time, all the way up until high
Yep.
school and public high school. And but I had developed like this
Identity.
persona around the religion, because of how I was raised. And I remember at like about, I swear I was probably about 5 years old. We used to have crucifixes in all, like, at the top of the doorway in like all of our rooms.
Wow.
I was a child, I was young. I remember that I took it down and I was so angry. I was like, you know, Yeshua,
Mhm.
Jesus. I was like, he would never, this is a gross display of this
Correct.
man. And I knew this as a child, right? So I took this and like I hid it inside, I don't know, like a pair of dirty underwear or something, and then like hid it in the
Yeah,
corner
because
of the room.
you feel like your family's there, so you got to believe what they believe, even though you know it's not accurate. And you, and
Yeah.
part of that
Like
is you
there was
could
like
feel
this
it wasn't
fire
accurate.
inside me. It was
Yep.
crazy. And when my mom found it, and like a child trying to explain, like, no, that's wrong. What's
Mm.
wrong is this display, of this man. It's invoking fear. It's
Correct.
this, like, this is not the message. This is not the message. The message is being twisted. And it's a trip because like today, like this guy, I had these conversations with my mom and they're so different. And because
Yep.
now she's like, oh, I see.
I get it. Hmm.
Because a part of it too is it was like, oh wait, like, because there's facets of my soul that have experienced, living, and like in the Hindu times, and
Correct.
Tibet, and then like in different Asiatic cultures, and like all these different things. So it's like part of this journey was like sparking this, and part of it
Yep.
was moving my body in these ways, like moving my body in a martial way with martial arts that started unlocking me, started turning me on, and different yoga postures, different breathing mechanics and
Yep.
exercises. Like then, like, this is who I am. It's these pieces where it's like, oh, this is just what I do every day now.
But it's
Just
part of your soul that you're retrieving back.
yes.
It's that soul part that it's always about remembering. We're only here for unconditional love and to experience emotion, all facets of emotion. Anger is not a negative emotion. It's part of who we are. We came here to experience it. And part of or to experience love. Some people might need to not be loved in order to find the love, to know what that love feels like. And so we have that, yin and yang type energy. And so everybody learns at a different way, and spirit will use that in order to ground it into you. The other thing is that I found, I'm sure you've had people in your life that has not always been the best toward you. They've not always had the best intentions. And a lot of times, those people actually are higher evolved on the other side and come back to play a role for are learning. And it's
Yeah.
hard to see that on a human level, but it's like they're taking on that role to piss you off in order for you to grow. It's
Yeah,
hard to see
I'm
it.
experiencing that.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And the goal is to really go through it with love. And we've had that conversation many times. If you can look at every single experience, good or bad, through the lens of love, that's what we're here to do. And it's difficult. It's not easy, but it's doable. And that's how we grow.
Yeah, like I have realized it, especially lately, a lot of it's like this observation without attachment,
Yep.
not actually detaching from what is occurring, but observing it,
Bird's eye,
witness.
bird's eye. I say bird's eye. You
Yeah,
go up here.
yeah.
Yep. And
And
you don't have
it
to
helps
be
bring
involved
about
in
like
it.
this, like, oh yeah, like this is a dual, like we live in this is a dualistic realm, so
Correct.
we do elevate and tap into these energy centers and elevate our consciousness, or come into the unified field, our heart-centered conscious field. Then yeah, I mean, it makes more sense, and it's understandable, um but at the same time, it's still, it's like this, it's like sometimes it's like I mean, like, okay, in my present situation, with the mother of my daughter and everything that's going on with that, and meaning, I'm in the end of a divorce. There's all kinds of things going on with the baby. Everything's good, but this is weird, okay? Because 8 years ago, I went through this and I was on the other side of it.
Mhm.
Okay. 8 years ago, I was
Oh,
using drugs and I lost the privilege of being a present father.
correct.
So now I'm on the other end of this and I'm watching this. I'm watching another party do
You've
this
gone full
dance,
circle. You've
and
gone full circle.
I've paid the debt,
Yep.
right? And I have all this time with my daughter now, and I'm watching this happen, and I'm watching this happen, and I'm like approaching it from this position where it's like, oh, I can also pull in all of these things that I didn't experience, or
Correct.
traumas that I did experience, in
Correct.
conjunction with my son. So my son's now healing in a weird way because of this too.
Mhm.
It's like so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And some people would say that I'm in a state of crisis. I don't think I
No, you're
am.
not. No,
That's,
you're not.
it's all perspective, but it's like, really, it is really, it's a bizarre situation. Because I'm just watching it and I'm like, I saw this happening. And I'm not trying to do some magic ritual to get through. No, like I'm literally just like watching this whole thing,
Because
like,
it's not anything for you to do.
whoa,
You did the work, Keegan. You've
yeah,
done your work. That's
it's
the difference. You've done your work. There's nothing more for you to do other than live
not
in
even
gratitude.
manifest anything. I'm just like focused on just being, that's
But you
but
also have this loving relationship with your daughter. So not only is your son healing, but your daughter's learning tools from you without even, you're not even teaching them. She's just learning by observing. And
oh my
that's the
goodness.
beautiful part of
And
it.
she is, absolutely, because she's quick. Yeah. And she's taking everything in, everything. She
Yep.
she she's and she's teaching me quite a bit, because it was it's so funny because I thought, okay, so like I had this awakening, I was visited by, a guide, a being that I work closely with, still a facet of myself, honestly,
Mhm.
and was woken and had this huge awakening, and it was like, this is how things happen for me, though. This is what I signed up for. This is because it's my story, and that's how I chose to remember it. And that's the funny thing is, I believe, right? It's whether we recognize it or not, but I truly believe that we chose to be and be
Hey,
things right?
We chose to embody every experience in every moment of our life. We have certain points that are destiny points, and it's destiny. But a lot of the choices we've made are choices we signed up for in order to have our soul grow. And that's what Earth is about, is that's the one planet that is like you're able to grow so much quicker because you have the duality.
Oh yeah, that's it.
That's
That's the
what it
thing,
is.
right? Although, you know, like it's a really interesting thing because like I feel like maybe like a lot of people that have gone through this process in the last few years, because there's a lot of other people that are like me,
They're
you know,
awakening.
yeah, or that are star seeds, you know, or that whatever, you know, angelic beings. I mean, we're all we're all of these things, but um I mean, it's really interesting. So like the last couple of months for me, I've been like really, really, really connecting to the higher galactic energies, you
Yep.
know, my star lineage, and I'm being I mean, well, a lot of it has to do with my daughter, because my daughter is a portal to the Arcturians. I mean, she's like fully tapped in with them all the time. She's just here, you know, like
And
she
Arcturians are just here to teach us love.
and that's
That's
what I, you
all
know,
it
that
is. And I mean, I had my own experience where I was able to channel Arcturians and the galactic system. And it's the messages are just nothing but pure love. And the feeling is pure love. And if you think about it, the children, like we're indigo children, then you have the rainbow children,
yep,
you
like
have the
that's what
crystal
yeah,
children, you have
that's
all these,
my kid.
and they're like coming in. So your daughter's coming in without the veil, where we've
Yes.
had the veil to grow. The kids coming in now are meant to truly, and that's why you have a lot of the defiancy, and they like to say ADHD. It's not, yes, it could be that, but I also believe it's a, I don't give a shit for authoritarian.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
need
going to here, I'm going to question everything there is, because that's how they're made.
yep.
That's, it's not anything, it's not being disrespectful. It's just they know their truth. And we all have our true north, but I think our age of people had to live in a time where you couldn't disrespect your parents and say, I'm not going to church.
No,
So
yeah.
you have all these different children coming in that are like no veil, direct portals. That's it. And
And
that's why you're getting the
that
healing of the planet.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly. And it's yeah, it's a beautiful thing, because it now like this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, as these
correct.
souls are incarnating, coming in high vibrational, high dimensional beings. Okay. And when I say that, so we're all high dimensional beings, but it's whether we have that piece of us activated and engaged,
Correct.
we are
Yep.
streaming consciousness and holding that
Correct.
vibration to us or not. And
Correct.
these children, my daughter especially, I've noticed, she came tapped in, and she is still tapped in to a very high vibrational stream of consciousness, because whenever I'm around her, I feel it.
You
And
can
we're both,
feel it. You
yeah,
feel it's
it,
like it's kicking. It's the electronics with you and I, because of our
yeah,
vibration so high. It's the same thing. You can feel when you're around higher vibrational beings. To me, it's like I call it a spiritual high. You actually
yeah.
feel like you're high as a kite.
Oh yeah,
You,
oh yeah,
you
yeah,
truly
yeah.
feel high.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's that higher dimension and that higher energy field. To take it back to the church thing, I did a lot of I had a lot of downloads with like music, sacred geometry, colors, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Physics, metaphysics. And the one thing that I was shown was the reason why people wanted like to go to church was because the Catholic Church knew what high vibration of music and the musical notes, which is actually the language of the universe,
Mhm.
is mathematics and music. And they knew the energy in the music in order to get people to come.
Absolutely.
So
And
people would be like, oh my God, it's Sunday. Oh my God, I feel so great. Well, you felt great because they were playing a certain high vibrational music. You don't need to go to any place. You can get that within your own space.
well, not
You can
just that,
feel that on
they
your own.
they also built a lot of churches over sacred sites of land. And if you look at a lot of older churches or older spiritual buildings, the architecture is very different. Okay,
Yes,
it's
yes,
swooping and it's cylindrical, and there's
correct,
domes, and this is because it's actually harnessing the natural occurring energies of Mother Earth. We're not
correct.
living in the properly built structures
No,
that
we should be living in
resonate
a
ourselves
box.
with. Yeah, exactly,
We should
because
not
these
be
hard
living in a box.
corners these hard
Correct,
corners don't allow the energy to free flow. So
correct.
yeah, isn't that something? Isn't that something? It's really I mean, they're doing it with the music, with mainstream
Yes,
music. This is
yes,
how people are being puppeteered around,
correct.
and
Programmed.
your behavior is being dictated through what you're listening to.
Well, think of it in these terms. You turn on the TV and you turn on a program. They knew exactly what they were saying. You are being programmed.
Yeah,
That's what
program.
you're being
And
programmed.
CIA released, I think, back in the 50s or 60s, the television, and essentially it's a patent for a telepathical programming device
Yep.
through the television. And what's a
Mhm.
television? Black Mirror.
Yep.
Our phones are too. I mean, what's the Black Mirror? What's Black Mirror? What's the Black Mirror? Scrying mirror where we can talk to, spirits.
It's so interesting though, because and the other thing I was shown, well, what I do, I'm like the spiritual friend and I help people and nudge people, but I also am able to do Akashic readings. And all that
Oh,
is information of highway. And I'm able to go in and read people's soul and get them back to the blueprint of their soul. I'm able to tell them where they went after they were born, they were created, what
mhm.
their divine gifts are, what their soul purpose is, what their lineage of their family is as far as the galactic family. And a lot of times, well, I know your experience too, people, and again, I do it differently. I do it all through spirit.
Mhm.
Spirit, like I do everything through spirit. People are shocked because you're able to tell them their intimate secrets that they've never told anybody. But then you're able to tell them why. Like, why do you think this way? This was the programming. These are the things you have to watch out for. And it helps heal the soul. And you're able to put the soul back together in a way. Now, mind you, it's free choice and free will. So if they continue to make the same choices that they made before their reading, they're going to get the same outcome. But
Yep.
because you're able to explain it to them, they're able to heal and take those gifts and be like, wow, I say you might have a soul that loves to paint, but their soul's gift is working with numbers. So that's where their abundance is going to come in. They can still paint, but it's not going to pay the bills. I think oh, okay. But it's
Mhm.
not going to pay the bills as opposed to working with numbers or working with children or being a caregiver, being a gardener, whatever it may be. Those are people's divine gifts because we're all brought in with gifts that we've gotten from the divine. And those gifts help us to become abundant. That's just as simple as it is. And the other thing I was shown in one of my Akashic readings was that we have, and it was backed up by a dream, we are all connected through the heart space, the portal, the heart space. And I was able to see like all these lines going to everybody and then mathematical equations. And that's how the universe looked to me. You had all these beams of light that were coming from the head and then from the heart space. So when you talked about if people are online or not, a lot of times I believe we have keys and we're going to unlock our gifts at certain times we agree to. And it may be somebody walking down the street and you walk by them and your energy triggers them to call their daughter that they haven't called in 3 years. You don't know what kind of energy exchange we have with each other, and it's all through the heart. Does that
Sure.
make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense to me, sis. Yeah, it does. And I
And
love it. Like I guess I want to mention this too to everybody. So like the whole time that we've been on this call, I see uh you energetically. So it's a very it's hard to even explain, but like when you just were like, oh, through the heart space, yeah, well, we've been connected and since we got on the phone, and it's just
correct.
like this gnarly, just solid beam, just, and I see the grids around it. It's really crazy. And when you're talking about your way of seeing things, like you transported me into your mind and showed me the geometric shapes
Mhm.
and numbers that came through when were just, I'm like, yeah, that's makes sense to me.
Well, it's hard because, again, I think it goes back to the programming. And these are all things, and part of this reason that I want to do the podcast with you is because I don't want people to think they're crazy. So if they have these experiences, they have these feelings, they have, where they might be seeing things in their mind eye. For me, it started, I saw lavender and I started seeing lavender. And then I went to my sister's house and my niece, like, Auntie Kimberly, here's some lavender.
Oh wow.
And then it started too, I started seeing church doors where, like, and it was with my eyes open, I was seeing the church doors. And I'm like, what is that? And again, different portals that I was going through at different times.
Hmm.
So everything you see has, spirit shows you things. It's whether or not we're actually listening and then how to put those pieces together. Because the doors may mean something for me and they may mean something different for you. So it's all just putting the pieces together, and we're the writer of our own story. Like, you can change your story at any point in time. You don't have to stay on the same storyline that you were on. And we're not meant to suffer. That's the other thing. We're not meant to suffer. We're here to learn the freaking lesson and move on. But because it's earth, we hang on to the emotional aspect of it. You don't have to. Learn the lesson, release it. I learned the lesson. Thank you very much. And let it go. Don't hold on to I broke up with my boyfriend. Don't talk to my family. I this, I that, like all the negativity. You meant to experience it for a reason. Take the experience, say thank you, and move on. And that's how we're able to move forward and have our soul really grow.
Yeah, and like something along this journey that I've actually really kind of come to realize and recognize too is that there isn't a single source that has all the information,
Nope.
and like also I've come to realize that pretty much everything is just speculation and perspective. Yes,
Correct.
there is evidence, but like for our past, like ancient history, Lemuria, Atlantis, these kinds of things. But um I've realized, right, just like you were just saying, that this is my story, just like
Yeah.
you are in your story. So it's
Correct.
about finding what has matched up and resonated with
Correct.
my space, not with what. And in terms of finding, myself, I guess, or raising my vibration, it's what's lined up with my heart's resonance. Like,
Correct.
okay, for instance, I'll throw this out there, right? So I work very closely with dragons,
Yes.
and they were a big part of my awakening process. These snake-like serpents that are showcased a lot in Asiatic
Yeah.
cultures. Some Hindu cultures talk about these dragons or snakes. Um, and oh my God, these are all I've experienced is benevolence. I come to realize that this is actually a facet of myself. I am a dragon. And I came into some information that made me question myself, because it was like, oh, well, you're a reptilian being then. And, I'm okay. I am all. That's what I also had to come to realize, right?
Correct.
You
You're
know,
not just, we're not just, and that's the one thing I've learned with the Akashic records and doing these readings. We've been the murderer. We've been murdered. You've been the rapist. You've been the one to be raped. You've been like all these things, which has made up your soul. It's
yeah.
not just one facet and I'm this. No, we're a body of multidimensional beings.
And
It's
it's
not
crazy.
just
Yeah.
one thing.
It's not one thing. And like that, like, like the shaman inside of me, like the shamana Gagayo, the shaman of the gecko that lived in the time of Atlantis, the red-skinned reptilian being.
Yep.
Crazy. That's a facet of me. That is, is so
But at
beautiful.
times, you're going to draw on that energy to help you.
Absolutely, I do all the time. Like these are facets of me that are still existing, that are still experiencing. And it's like,
Right.
oh wow, like there was a timeline where I made some mistakes and did some things. And like in this particular where I'm at now, I've had an opportunities to heal that part of myself
Yep.
and recreate that aspect of myself into the present vessel now. It's crazy, So like, I'm sharing this too, because like, I'm sure a lot of people are questioning themselves. Like, am I good? Am I bad? Am I this or am I that? Because
You just
I had for a
are.
long time, like this gnarly
Yes.
fear of hurting somebody or scaring someone. Like,
Yep.
I don't want to do these things because like a lot of the things that have come through me are super trippy. You know, like speaking different language, some crazy stuff. That's some trippy stuff. And not all of them are prevalent. A lot of them aren't actually. A lot of them are not good. Or
But
not
that's what, but
highest
that's
interest.
what we're taught. That goes back to the good and the bad. That goes back to the church belief. That goes back to the religion. You either are this or you're that.
Yes.
We're
exactly.
all of it. We're all of it. And speaking of dragons,
It's what you
that's
embody.
what, when I was going through a healing phase, I couldn't figure out why I wanted all these orange flowers. It was all orange. And then it was like, oh my God, it was the dragons and it was the creative dragons, but the healing dragons, and it's all this stuff. And I worked with them for like a year and they help heal, like physically heal me.
Yeah.
Like it was a physical healing. And I was like, wow. So there's just a lot of things that don't get spoke about. People are scared to say something because they're afraid that their family's going to put them in a mental hospital. I had a term like my husband will call me a witch, and I would freak out. Freak out.
There could be a
Freak out.
Yeah. Mm.
I'm not a witch. And he's like, I'm not saying all witches are bad. I'm just saying you embody a lot of the energy of a witch. And now I'm like, my sister got me a sign that said, yeah, you say witch like it's a bad thing. Because I had to release the negative connotation around the word witch. And I'm sure that goes back to the Salem witchcraft trials. So you kind of see where it goes and why we have these belief systems, because it's in our DNA. So you can clear it, heal it, and move forward. But a lot of it, those belief systems are there with us. And just because you have them, like, the other thing is treat yourself like you would your own best friend. And the belief systems, ask yourself is, do I have this belief because it's my belief, or is it something that it was somebody else's belief that they put on me? Is it a belief that I was raised with? Is it a social programming belief? Is it a belief that I still feel is relevant now? And then you're able to get rid of all these belief systems that no longer serve you, and you don't believe them anyways. It's just you were told that you needed to believe in them.
Yes, and then we made the agreements, and then we continue to make these agreements, by this mantra or whatever we're speaking to ourselves, right? And
correct.
I've done this exact thing, and I've reversed it, and I mean, that's what magic really helped me a lot with too. Sigil work, making these sigils. It was a creative outlet for me to kind of like help get myself into creating this energy to shift my consciousness.
Correct.
and I love working with sigils and creating different, pictures and artwork and all of that, because that's how we move and transmute and create. But
And we're all magical beings. Like, we all
oh
have the
yeah,
ability to create. And that's what we are part of the creator. We're here to create. Whatever that looks like to you, you're here to create. Fill your soul of things that you want to create, and what it is you want your life to look like. You can have anything you want. And that's something that nobody speaks about. It actually comes very easy. Very easy. You can create the life that you want. And then be careful for what you wish for, because sometimes it actually comes true and not in the way that you think it will.
yeah,
But we are creators. That's what we are. We're part of the creator.
yeah. And being here in this particular density, we get to witness the process of manifestation into a physical matter. So it's a privilege, really. I mean, I've heard at least, that there's actually a lot of beings that, would like an opportunity at experiencing this realm. And, here we
Yes.
are. There's like
Yes.
a line, there's a line.
It's a waiting list. Believe it or not, people
I
are
hear,
waiting to come here. They are waiting to come here to experience. And yes. And then we get here, we're like, because we forget everything. And that's part of remembering who you are. When you remember, you really start understanding and you start seeing things from a different perspective. And you can take off the rose-colored glasses and you start remembering who your soul is and who you are at soul level.
yeah. I mean, what's 30, 40 years to an ancient being? I mean, you know what I
Nothing.
mean?
This
Or
is a blip in
however
time.
long, whenever on the scale. And like, this is the other thing too, is time is this cyclical, ever continuing, not just a straight line,
Correct.
So it's like, there could be people here that are experiencing a very early stage of their soul's experience, and there's people here that need to be these mirrors to reflect back to us, like,
Correct.
oh, okay, that is not what I want to choose. I want to choose this over here instead. And usually, it's people that are now vibrating themselves out of our lives. I'm sure a lot of people now are
Oh,
really
yeah.
like it's got to be pretty apparent in everyone's life at this point. Like, if people are not serving you, or
Well,
if you're
they
just
just
living
go
chaos.
away. You go higher, your vibration goes higher, and the higher you go, the more dimensions you're able to go into and you're able to see, which is why you can see things. You could see my aura, you could see everything energetically, because the higher you go, the more you're able to veils thinner and thinner and
Oh
thinner.
yeah, it's
So
been
you're
super
seeing things
crazy.
other people can't see.
Lately. It's been like, I don't know what happened, but like now I've noticed I'll look at someone, or I'll look at like, maybe someone is doing like a light language transmission. I follow a couple of people because I trust them,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh whoa, I just saw her Lyran body come forward, and like,
Correct.
I see their other facets of their soul coming through. And this is for
Yes.
all kinds of people. I'm walking down the
Yes.
street. Oh whoa,
Yes.
that's interesting. What is that? Not so many. Yeah, some people aren't all what they appear to be. That's all.
Correct.
There's many
But it goes
more,
back to different layers.
sentient beings living here than we are aware of.
Correct. And that's the funny part, is when you start opening up and you start seeing things for what they are and not for what you want it to be or what you've been programmed, you start seeing through different lenses and you're able to take away the veil and you're going, wow, wow. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When you think of someone, do you see them, their physical body, or do you see their energy first? What do you like?
Their energy first.
I know, right? It's
Yeah,
so
I'm able
crazy.
to see the
It's
energy and
so
it's, yeah.
crazy. Like, yeah, when it's just like, nope, I see that person, like how their energy is, what, it's
And I'm
cool.
able to feel it too. That's the other
Oh
thing
yeah.
is I can feel energy. So I already it's and I think there's more people out there that do than not. Let me put it this way. When you walk into a room and this is for anybody out there. You walk into a room, can you sense if there was an argument that just happened? Can you sense that two people have been fighting? Can you sense that there's a disagreement? That is part of your intuitiveness. That is reading energy. And people don't share that. It's the same thing like channeling. I shared this with you from the very get go. I went to college and my professor would get so mad because I would write in third person. Fast forward 20 years, I'm like, oh, that was channeling information. I had no clue.
Gosh, you were just
I
oh my
was
goodness.
writing in third person. And I'm like, well, why would I write like, and he would get so mad I would have to redo every paper.
Oh my
But
goodness.
I was just writing as I was hearing,
Yeah.
not realizing I was channeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is we are channels, we are instruments. And
Yes, we are.
I think that more often than not, we are channeling different,
Correct.
and we don't even know. Like, okay, with human design, have you ever looked at like your human design chart? Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So it has to do with your astrological makeup, so your sign, your zodiac sign, in conjunction with the I Ching or the I Ching, which is a Chinese kind of based method
Okay.
at measuring, time and other kinds of like
What is
metaphysical.
it called again?
It's called the human design, your human design
Okay.
chart. You can look it up for free. The type of design that I'm a generator. So I'm here literally to raise people up energetically. I'm here to generate the energy.
Raise their vibration.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yep.
what generators are here for. There's all kinds of different types, but on this chart, it shows you the cheap channels that are in the body that are attached to each organ. And
Okay.
your human design chart, each person has different channels that are active or non-active. And when we get around other people, like for instance, with me, my heart and from my heart to my upper channels, they're all pretty much fully active. So when people come around or near me, people can start having visions. People can start having spiritual
Correct. Yeah.
because it's like, whoa, like those channels are now on because we're near each other. With me, I didn't know this until I did my design. My liver, which is where a lot of our feelings come from and our security, my liver's open. So I will take on whoever is around me.
People's feelings.
And
Yes.
I will start taking that on. And a lot of times I'm like, oh, wait a second, that's not mine.
That's not mine. This is why it's so important you know and recognize your own energy. So when there's other energies around you, you can feel it. Like when I started the call and said, oh my God, I felt your anxiety, your anxiousness. That's just, and again, it's because I know my own energy. So when something is off, I know it doesn't have anything to do with me. Funny story. I have a friend who is a medium and we were doing a Zoom call and 5 minutes before I'm getting ready, like I did the call and also my stomach, like, oh my God. And I said, you need to give me a few minutes. And then like I sat with it and I'm like, and I said, are you like, do you have a stomach pain? And she's like, oh my God, I have endometriosis.
Oh, whoa.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then another experience I had, I was having like a blip in my heart. And I have a friend who has lupus. And I said to her, I'm like, listen, I have a really weird question to ask. I'm like, but just be honest. I'm like, the last like 2 or 3 weeks, have you like had like feeling in your heart like it's beating really fast? And she's like, oh my God, yes. So again, it's important you know your own energy, because when you're around other people, you're going to take on their energy. You're going to feel it. But if you don't know your own energy, you will think it's you having these symptoms, and it has nothing to do with you other than you're just feeling it. And as a medium, that comes into play when because spirit uses, I can see, feel, hear. Spirit will use feelings with me. So I'll be like, oh my God, are you going through X, Y, and Z? Or I may get a vision of like my grandmother, like in a hospital bed, like that was a memory, but they'll spark that memory so I can ask about their grandmother. And is your grandmother sick? So that's how it works. It's like you're learning a different language.
Yeah.
Really, you're learning a different language, and they use symbols, they use everything, and they use every tool to help heal other people. And your job is to interpret what they tell you, or what they're showing you, or what you're feeling, or what you're seeing.
It's so crazy. I can't go. I don't know. I can't really go anywhere. I can't do anything these days without getting a message.
Yep.
There's some numbers, there's a symbol, there's an animal, there's a bird, there's
license plates. License plates are like the best.
Oh yeah, that's my jam.
That's crazy. It's interesting though. The other thing that when I teach people or tell people, spirit will use, sometimes it comes across as your own thought. And what I mean by that is, if I hear me, like I speak in terms of me, where if spirit's trying to talk to me, I may hear Kimberly, I'll hear you. And that's how I know the difference of it's is my thought or if it's spirit's thought. And you get really good at it. You'll be like, all right, like, and you'll know when the messages are coming, and you're like, okay, that's a nudge, because it'll be like Kimberly. And I'll be like, okay. Again, if you're not aware, you think you're crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I walk the dogs around the neighborhood, and it's just like one thing after the other. I go take go drive to the studio, one license plate, one thing, it's just what it is now. That's my life.
But that's because you're an open channel and you agree to it. Part of you going through your spiritual awakening, and I remember telling you this, spirit shot you straight up. It was like a waterfall. And it was like a fountain, because they had to shoot you straight up and then deal with like all the particles coming down.
Fallout, yeah.
And all the fallout to like help heal you.
Later.
As opposed to some people have an awakening.
Here we are dealing with the fallout.
Like, wait, Vegan's coming.
Oh my God. You know what? That's really what it feels like. Honestly,
yes.
That's because like, yeah, I can't go 20 minutes or whatever, without there being some sign, some synchronicity, some symbol, some number, whatever, and but that's just how my life is now. And I was thinking 2 years ago when I started having this happen, it was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my, and it still is. Like I take a moment. Thank you,
Yes.
But it is different now, because, okay, the excitement in a way has worn off, and the work is happening again. There's layers, more layers that it's like, okay, you thought your heart
that 1,000 times to you. We are an onion. We're an onion. You peel back one layer, there's another one, you work on that. That's the core. You're going to cry a little bit. You're going to cry some more. You peel back more. You're going to cry. You're going to shed. You're going to shed tears. You're going to kick and scream. You're going to figure that part out, because you're unraveling who you are at soul level. Yeah, and the more you do that, the higher vibration you go, and the more you can heal, and the more things you can handle. Look at where you were 2 years ago as opposed to now. The things happening in your life now would have been a crisis.
Oh my God.
Not that one
aspect, like one,
Correct.
there's so many things that are happening where I'm like, whoa, okay, we're doing this, it's happening, let's go. you
Correct.
know,
As before you would ask
full
20,000
time dad,
questions.
with a 1-year-old running a business, whatever, let's do it. Who cares, man? We're doing it.
And you're doing it beautifully. You're doing it beautifully and you're living your soul's purpose and you're doing it and you're helping so many people. And you have the main thing for me is I stopped hiding who I was and I started living authentic. And I truly, and as you start living authentic, the people that are lower vibration just kind of they fly to the side. You like they just go out of your life. Um, but when you start living authentic in your authentic truth with no apologies, it's so freeing and it's so beautiful. And you end up helping so many more people. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh my God, Kimberly, you're the person to ask for this. Or, oh my God, I knew that you would help me with this because I chose to be authentic with who I am.
Yep.
I remember one of my dear friends, I knew her for 25 years. We were just in a conversation like last year. I'm like, oh, yeah, I talk to dead people. She's like, what? Excuse me? Fast forward, her parents die. She didn't believe in anything. She was always told, you don't go to mediums, you don't go like spirituality, like all that crap. I got a text message from her on Christmas saying, thank you so much for being who you are, because I would not have been able to go through this Christmas in such a happy place. So you learn, you like the more you are authentic, the more you truly are healing and helping healing other people. And from that, now she's like like not crazy, like it's crazy good because now she started her spiritual awakening. She wants more information, more information, more information. Where if I would have just stayed dormant and not been like, oh, I talk to dead people, she would have never had that gift. And that was a gift from spirit.
Yeah.
And she really had a difficult time for like 8 months with her parents until we had that conversation. And now it's like she's so grateful because she realizes, oh, I can actually talk to my parents. Oh, wait, they're not really dead. Oh, wait, they just went into a physical embodiment or a spiritual embodiment. Like it's just energy. They don't go anywhere. They're right there.
Yep.
And so then she started getting signs, and her daughter started getting signs, her granddaughter started getting signs, and they're showing that they're still around them. And so it's beautiful when you truly start living your authentic self with no apologies.
Yeah. It's really something like I feel like the last 2 years, it's like there's all these archetypal energies of like these spiritual beings. Like, and what I mean is, it's like, okay, you have the witch, you have the magician, you have the
Correct.
shaman, you got the medicine man
You
or
got the
medicine woman,
wizard.
you got the wizard, you got, all of these different, and I'm like, I feel like I've like over the last 2 years, I've just been like, okay, I ignited that one, I ignited that one, I ignited that one, I ignited that one, and it's like bringing them together to deliver this package, right? And then it's
Correct.
like, no, now you're going to focus all of your energy on being a dad.
Yep.
And I'm like, whoa, dude, this is crazy, man.
But wait,
This
you're
is
going to
great.
need
And
all those
like,
energies in order to be a dad.
yeah, yeah. And I kid you not, like, there was a time in my life where I'm like, I could never do that. You're freaking crazy. To have the life and position that I have today, to be in this particular position, no way. I'd be running. I'd be running scared.
I remember, and I said to you, listen, spirit will give you what you're ready for. Spirit will never fail you.
Well, as soon
And
as the
you're
thought
ready.
entered my mind, oh, I can do this. I can do this on my own. All right, here you go. Oh man, what the
Yep.
heck?
That's called manifestation.
I know. And now it's to a point where I'm not like, I don't have to extend. It's just coming to me.
It's just who you are.
Just comes to me. I don't really, I don't have to work. I just
And
am.
your daughter has come to teach you. It's like we're told we're there to teach our children, and that's not true. They're here to teach us.
She's an elder for sure. You know, I definitely believe that her and I were together during the time of Lemuria at that
Yep.
particular soul experience. I mean, I can't even put into words what is happening between me and her and my son. You know, when the three of us are together, and it's just like, I'm overpaid. If all of this happened so I could be where I'm at, right? Okay, cool. Thanks. Now, you know,
And
I
that's what it
didn't come here to
is.
be some breathwork facilitator or some sound bath artist. Like, I came here to be whatever it is in the moment, you know?
That's how I feel. That's exactly, Keegan. That is exactly, that's why I say I'm a spiritual friend, because I know
Yeah,
I have all these gifts and
friends.
talents, but I'm just a friend. Like, I truly feel like at the end of the day, that's what I am. Like, I'm a spiritual friend. And it's amazing because I feel so grateful and in gratitude all the time to be able to live a high vibration frequency existence and have really awesome conversations with people and be able to connect on such a deep level. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, to me, it's like amazing. And I'm so grateful to be able to have my family appreciate who I am and see me for who I am, and be able to do all the family stuff too, along with all of this stuff, and just enjoy my life.
Oh
Like,
my God.
it's about enjoying life. It's about, like, to me, what I do is not work. It's
Oh,
not. It's having conversations.
we're hanging out.
I mean, that's really what it is. And it's like, it's mind blowing to think that, again, it goes back to programming, it goes back to time, it goes back to being a slave to time, being a slave to all of that of I got to do this to make this, to do this, to do that. Where I'm like, listen, my agreement is I will do whatever spirit chooses for me for the highest and greatest good of all. That is what I will do. And once I did that and really embodied that, I am loving life. Like, truly loving life. And it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing. It
And
is.
people don't have to, and that's where I go back to, suffering's a choice. It's truly a choice. If you know, you have tools, you have meditation to help with the monkey mind. Because I swear,
Mhm.
before I learned meditation, I was all over the place. And that helps ground you. It truly helps ground you and then connects you. And I had to practice that every day until I became very centered. And then when I became centered, everything else started coming in. And then you learn something different, then you learn something different, then you learn something different. And all these tools will come out at different points in time, depending on who you're working with. You never lose any experience. It's all there. Just like everything you learned is teaching you how to be the best dad ever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, because I definitely know that my mission, one of my, reasons for being here has to do with the children.
Yep.
So,
And I think when your daughter gets a little bit older, I see you working with groups of children, um, to help them learn how to harness the energy.
oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I see that. Like, I truly see that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be, let's go to a play date at Uncle Keegan's house. Uncle Keegan's going to give you a whole lot more than what you bargained for.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
that's part of, like, you using the tools that you were given. And that's also part of healing. If you didn't heal, you wouldn't be in the place that you are now. We have to heal the traumas and heal those traumas and those wounds so you can see who you're supposed to be. We're not supposed to hang on to them.
Yeah. And like I think something that's really interesting too, especially in like these last 2 years, it's like, oh, I've remembered that I experienced living as this or as that, or I had this life experience or this, soul experience. And um it's like it's all a part of it, but I realize it's like, okay, because I've had things happen that have made me totally question something that I was like, well, I had this experience and that means that. And everything that I keep coming back to is one does not always equal one when it comes
Nope.
to
Nope.
when it comes to all of this experiential stuff.
Correct. And it's what you're meant to get out of it. You're right. 1+1 doesn't always equal 2. And sometimes you can't even wrap your head around it. Like what the
Right.
meaning is supposed to be. Sometimes you're just like, wow.
And then,
Wow.
here I am, almost 33 years old. And I could tell you about experience that I had at 15 years old that blew my mind. I didn't understand what had happened. All right. But I was
What
working
was
at a pharmacy and it was late and we were closed and there wasn't supposed to be anybody in the store. I come to aisle 11, first aid aisle. Okay.
Aisle 11, kind of like alignment and keys. Yes.
Yeah.
Aisle 11, first aid. Go ahead.
Yes. A soft looking man, like he was like a soft looking man, like didn't really have much facial hair, was very soft looking. Like I don't know how to explain it other than it was almost like he wasn't fully there.
Yep.
But I saw him.
Transparent. It's like a transparent type pink energy.
But he was there. He was physical, but we didn't touch. But he said, Keegan, it's me, Gabriel. And I'm like, what? Like, what? I don't know, a Gabriel, And he looked in my eyes and he said, you don't have to keep doing this to yourself. I was using a lot of drugs at the time.
Okay.
I was like 15, 16 years old. And he's like, you don't have to keep doing this to yourself. And then he left. And like, here I am.
Archangel Gabriel.
Years later, Archangel Gabriel.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
I didn't understand why I always was drawn to angels, but I didn't really know angels' names. But my oldest son is Gabriel Michael, and my youngest son is Michael Anthony.
I mean, come on.
I don't know why. I was like, okay, like I was just drawn to those names.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I named my babies after the archangels. Okay. And that was not my intention. How does that work? How does that work? But that experience you had was so profound. First aid aisle 11.
Yep. And then he was gone. I walked to the front and be like, yo, there's this guy back there. I don't know. He's like really tripping me out. And then there was no one there, So, and I didn't realize what, because this is interesting too, is like, I've peered into other timelines, or I guess like, I should actually say parallel timelines, or, other Keegans that have existed that made different choices at different stages, because it's weird.
Yep.
I can look in and peer into, there's different times in my life where I had an opportunity to get sober and stay sober, but I just had other lessons that I would wanted to learn instead, obviously, and I made the choices that I made, but like there's other, it's really interesting, there's other Keegans running around in other parallel, dimension, or whatever.
It's funny you say that, because think about it this way. This is how I've learned about it. You dream, obviously. I dream, but I know I astral travel, and I can wake up, and remember a different house, different people, and I think what it is your soul is traveling at those different parallel universes. Your soul's traveling at those different places. Same thing with when we have a deja vu. It's something has happened either right before or right after in another timeline. And that's why you're like, oh wait, because and it might be something like so minute, like a millisecond before you did the exact same thing. And it's interesting on how all these play into it. And as we heal stuff on this timeline, you're healing other timelines.
Yep.
So that's how it's my understanding of how that all works. But the universe is definitely much more vaster than what we can even comprehend. And it's the same thing. When you dream, it's like, I swear that's more vivid and real than living this life.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I know where I go. I go to the cosmos. That's what I say, like, and anytime I've done like this past life regression with Hope, which Hope will end up doing. We're going to do a podcast. I'm going to do a podcast with her soon too. But, I always say it like the my spirit or higher self or whatever comes through always says he goes to the cosmos, right? And
like, stop asking.
Yeah, I know. And for a while, I'm like, what the heck, like, what is that? So I came across a chart, and I'll throw it up on here, actually, fam. When I go to edit the video, I'll put the chart up. But this might be kind of crazy, but this chart shows that potentially we live in a 15-dimensional 5-density time matrix. What does that mean? I'll just tell you, the thing that really struck me was on the outer edges, the last 3 dimensions that make up the most outer density of this universe that we're in is the primal light and sound fields.
Yep.
They're the cosmo fields.
They're the cosmo fields. Yep.
And that's where I go, because I go into that aspect of myself that is just light and sound. Yep. That's where I go when I sleep, unless I'm doing some dream work. That's a different thing, and I'm like, but.
And do you feel this too? Like for me, what I've felt lately is when I dream, I wake up like I haven't had any sleep.
Oh yeah, it's been
like
gnarly.
I've been so tired.
Gnarly.
Like I had just literally gone to sleep and I got no sleep.
That's a lot of people that I've been talking to lately. Everyone's like, what is going on? I'm so tired. And I think part of it is the solar flares. Our DNA is literally changing, whether we're aware of it or not. It's changing.
Correct.
Everyone that's on Earth right now, you're changing, whether you're conscious of it or not. I mean, we're all happening, or it's Mother's changing, Mother Earth is changing, we're changing.
Correct.
I heard they're even finding different kinds of like amphibious creatures. I don't know.
That too. Yep.
You heard that too? I'm just saying.
I heard that too. Yeah.
And yeah,
it's like,
who knows?
Easy.
We're in a new Earth already.
I'm telling you, and it's all perspective, but when you take everything we've talked about, it's like a beautiful orchestra, and you're like, we're learning how to fine tune the different instruments and how to use those instruments and how to help heal people with those instruments, how to heal ourselves. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does a new earth look like? We don't need to live in fear. You can live in love. You can't be in love and fear at the same time. What is your choice? Are you going to choose to be in love, or are you going to choose to be in fear and not put your steps forward? Because right before the magic happens, that's where the fear sets in. You got to step over the fear to get to the magic. And so there's so many things that just like, and we're all evolving. You're right. We're all evolving. Our DNA is upgrading. Our DNA is changing, and we're all evolving into who we were meant to be. Yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this is part of, okay. And then on this chart too, it's really cool because it talks about we're in a 5 density time matrix. So
Yep.
what that means, okay, is there's 5 different densities, and dimensions 1, 2, and 3, which is technically where we reside, is in the
Right
third,
here. Yep.
is a carbon-based matter realm. So we're carbon bodied. Dimensions 4, 5, and 6 is carbon etheric, like
Energetic.
smoke, candles, ghosts, you know, all like those are
Yep.
things we're seeing. Those beings are carbon etheric. Now, one might argue, I believe, and it is my belief, that that is what we are moving into, is a carbon etheric based being, because
Correct.
we will start moving faster, vibrating faster, and what we
Yep.
eat will be different. We will no longer be eating
Absolutely.
carbon. We will be eating etheric, meaning the prana,
Yep.
the life forces around
Yep.
us. You'll be breatharian, and we'll live for much, much longer.
But if you think about it, let's go back to the Lemurians, because
Yes,
that's exactly, the Lemurians were telepathic.
they lived in the unified field of
They lived
consciousness. Yeah.
in the 5D realm, and they used crystals to heal. They used their energetic bodies to heal. And I think that is like coming back around to where we're
Yes.
like, I think we took a deep dive down, and now there's been so many energy bodies that have embodied the planet to lift it up, to get it to a higher realm again. Where, and
Yes.
that's, I know you do this, I do this too. We can speak telepathically. You don't always need to use words. You can, like, oh my God. And that's when you think of somebody and the phone rings and it's them, or your phone rings and you already know who it is. That's all telepathic. We're just learning to do that on more of a everyday basis.
Right. And in order to get there, we got to clear out everything that essentially separates
Yep.
everybody. That's
Clear out the
that's
separation.
big.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Because
anything,
separation
and you know
is,
what's really crazy is lately I'm getting more sensitive. I don't know about you, but lately it's weird. Like I will hear in my head almost like I'm picking it out of thin air, like
yep,
someone's thoughts before they say them.
correct.
I hear it in my head and I'm like, what is happening? Like I hear it before they say it. I'm like, what is going on? I'm not asking for this, you know? Like,
But
what
that
the
all
heck?
goes back to the sound. That all goes back to the speed of sound. That all goes back to all of the, how do I say it? It reminds me of my youngest son. He would be sitting in the car. We'd be sitting in the car. He would say something, and the exact same thing would be on the radio, exact phrase, all the time. How's
Oh
that
my
happen? He's tapped into the universe.
God.
That is how that happens. When you're tapped in and tapped out, you are like, whoo, that's the universe. You're playing, not even playing, you're playing with the universe. You are dancing with the universe.
Yeah, you just in sync. You're in it.
Just
Yeah,
in sync with the universe.
it's really something.
Yeah, isn't that, I mean, to me, it's crazy, but now, and I'm sure this happens to you too, all these experiences are now like just normal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
it's,
that. Yeah,
we're
that's
having a conversation, but it's normal. All these experiences are just like, they're just normal, everyday things that happen.
Yep, yep. It's my life.
I'm like, yeah, I was thinking you too can tap
Yeah.
into the universe. It's awesome though. Like if you really think of it, and a lot of it isn't even thinking, it's just embodying the energy of who you are. You have the thinking mind, and then you have the energetic mind, body, soul. And you're
Mhm,
like literally living in the energetic realm rather than the 3D, like high density, like realm.
mhm. Yep.
And trust. A lot of it is trust. It takes a lot of trust to really be able to do this. Trusting
Yeah.
the universe.
Trust. Yeah. The universe. Exactly. A lot of people don't trust themselves. I
Correct.
feel, a lot of us like are constantly churning to something as a way to inform us of what we should be instead of
Or their
ourselves.
fellow man. They're looking to their fellow man to tell them who they should
Yeah.
be. To
Yeah.
give them the validation, when in actuality, spirit validates everything for you. You don't need validation from other people.
That's a
Dwayne
tough
Dwyer,
one.
are
That's
you
a tough
familiar
one.
with Dwayne Dwyer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I had heard a podcast when he had transitioned over. Somebody had channeled him, and one of the things that came through was he said, I didn't understand how much of a hold other people's opinion had on human beings. He's like, I couldn't understand why people had such a hard time changing. And he's like, it's truly the validation of other people. And people hold other people's opinion at a much higher like rate than what I
Yep.
even could comprehend. And that always stuck with me because it's absolutely true.
It
That
is.
is
It
so
is true.
true.
Well, we're in social media and all that,
And they
Oh,
just need
yeah.
that validation when you don't realize you truly can validate for yourself or have spirit validate for you. That was one of the things when I started doing this was I literally had to trust. Because again, when I say something, I don't have the information and what it pertains to. I don't know why I'm saying to you, do you feel anxious? Or this is what I'm feeling. I have no clue. But I have to honor spirit because that's really who my agreement is with. So for the longest time, so when you're doing a reading with somebody, I don't know what I'm saying and how that pertains to them. I'm just trusting spirit's having me say it for a reason. And it always is on point. Always. Never once have I ever gotten, no, that doesn't make sense. It's always like, oh my God. Because again, I don't know because I'm not the one, you know what I mean? I'm not receiving the reading, so I don't know how it pertains to that person. And
Yeah.
that takes a lot of trust. You have to trust spirit, period, and trust the universe. It's amazing. It's been a crazy, amazing ride, but I love every minute of it.
Absolutely. Me too. I agree. And you know what? That's about all the time that I have for
Okay.
today. Um,
Thank you
yeah,
so much, Keegan. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for doing round 2 with me. And you know what? We went for an hour and a half this time.
Wow.
So we obviously had more things to talk about. And I always appreciate you. I appreciate your time and your
Thank
energy.
you.
And, I look forward to getting a personal reading next
Yes.
week. Potentially doing another call or another podcast. I mean,
I
maybe
would love to do another podcast.
maybe some people can throw out some topics, some things they want us to talk about, or if there's any questions, please let us
I
know.
would love to deep dive with you, and I don't know if you want to do this at later on, but think about it. Tesla's 369.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, it's 3:33 right now, by the way. My time.
See? Spirit saying, wrap it up, boys and girls, wrap it up. I love you. We will be in touch,
I
and
love
we will
you. I love you.
Thank you. And
Thank
yes,
you.
I would love to do another podcast with you.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
throw
All
out
right.
different topics.
Yeah. All right, cool. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, baby.
Bye.